Hi, welcome to Fiberchats. My name is Irene. I'm the host here. My guest today is Eric Wachmann. He is from Nipa Pearl. And I've heard that this whole story started with one little lost lamb.
Yeah. So, boy, the background of the story. So, the company was started by my wife, Paula Servilla, who was the daughter of emigres from Eastern Europe to Europe in the Second World War. And they were living in Madrid, Spain when she was born. And one of her prized possessions was a little stuffed lamb. And I believe that there's a picture of it actually on the blog of our website. So her parents worked for Radio Free Europe in Madrid, and eventually her mother was offered a job working for the Canadian government. So when Paula was 5, they packed everything up from Madrid and moved to Ottawa, and her little stuffed lamb was left in a trunk that was left in the apartment that they had, and they said, we'll send for it, we'll get it, don't worry about it. And that never happened, and the trunk was lost, and so she lost her stuffed animal. So it was a point that she, I think, took great pride in pointing out to her mother over the years, that she had, her mother had insisted that she leave the stuffed animal because they had enough things going to Canada. So that her mother, I think, felt kind of guilty about that and kept on gifting her little stuffed lambs, little stuffed animals to sort of make up for that. So, and out of that came this company, KnitBaahPurl. So,
Well, I told you, like, when we met at H&H, that every time I see your booth, it just immediately makes my day and brings the smile on my face, because you can't help but smile when you see things you do. Let's talk about how your company grew. Like, what was some of the first products and how you decided to add more to it?
So the whole company started with the image that's drawn, that's called Wendy's Knitting Circle. So back in 2011, Paula drew that for her friend Wendy, who had a knitting circle, and it's a picture of 6 sheep all knitting in different colors, and they're all sitting around knitting sweaters from each other. And she called that Wendy's Knitting Circle, and she gifted it to her for, I believe it was her birthday. And Wendy said, you know, this is really good. You could sell things like this. And a light went off in Paula's head, and she thought, well, okay. So she had a couple of other ideas for cards. Originally, it was supposed to be sort of a gift card, an everyday card company, graphic arts company. So she made, I think the second one was lay flat to dry, which sort of is our signature now. And then cold water wash and hand wash after that. And then the ideas just started to morph from there. It always starts with the image, always kind of a pun on sheep doing human things. We like to joke that it was the product of a bad sense of humor and too many long car rides.
Well, when you meet other people at festivals, I know you do a lot of yarn festivals. When you meet people there, do they give you ideas? Like, do ideas always come from you, or do they come from your fans as well?
Sometimes people come up and say, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. And very often we have done things like that. We have a friend who gave us the idea of the T-shirt for children, Now I Lay Me Down to Sheep, which started off as a baby tee, but is actually morphed into also an adult child tee. And, you know, so little ideas, you know, we have a whole list of things that we want to continue to get into production ideas. You know, tie one on. You know, sheepwreck was something that we were just sitting around the fire at our cottage, and we just started playing on words. Three Sheeps to the Wind was we were driving down the highway from Minneapolis, and we said, well, we've got to come up with ideas that have sheep in them. And I said, sheep, sheep, sheep. Well, sheets. And then it just kind of morphed from that. So yeah, we get lots of ideas from our friends. We also, like I said, we have too much of a fertile imagination. So we have a list that's literally pages long of things, little sayings that need to get into images and out there to everybody.
Well, the image is one thing because it's like, it's probably, I mean, I'm sure it's difficult to come up with the new idea for the image and the new idea for like a funny caption for the image, but then you have a lot of different products. So some of the things that I saw at H&H, there were tags that you can attach to your knitting as a gift tag, and some were the instructions for how to take care of your needs. And then there were wine glasses and beer glasses and mugs and t-shirts, and like there's a lot of different products. Is it difficult to come up with the ideas of like what else can you put that image on?
You know, that's a really good question because we're always thinking about what would the next good product be for us. We like to say, you know, we are everything else that you need for your fiber lifestyle. Everybody can have yarn, everybody can have needles, but to be able to really scream that you are a knitter or a weaver or a spinner or something like that, we tend to represent the swags part of things. So it started with the cards, and then we had the tags, and then we had t-shirts, which we didn't have at H&H because that's another complicated thing. But then the wine glasses, we have project bags. Since COVID, we've introduced a new line of deluxe project bags that are beautifully lined that we have a lady who lives locally to us make for us. We have water bottles that are new. We have little Notion tins. We have stitch markers. We're just always looking for new things to add in. I know that we have in the pipeline new ideas for tags. We have new ideas for stitch markers. So we're expanding on some of those things that we already have. We're also working with the lady who does our bags to do a needle bag. And then also a backpack style bag to so something that'll be maybe a little bit more versatile than the deluxe bags that we have. So,
and of course there is some jewelry also in the line.
Yeah, we have had in the past. We've had earrings as well. We haven't restocked those yet. The supply chain is a little bit of a nightmare for some of those things right now, but that's something definitely that we want to bring back in. We've talked about pins because, you know, the sun, as part of the lay flat to dry image that we have on our website, we have a friend who does metal bending, and she wants to make a whole series of those for like a pin for a shawl, something like that. So it's the kind of the balance between, you know, what do we do for sort of everyday products? Do we want to have a line of jewelry? All of those sorts of things. And it's you know, COVID complicated things a little bit. But as we, and the economy has complicated things a little bit, but as we start to kind of come out of that, we're looking to continue to add and continue to expand all of the things and hopefully increase the laughter.
Well, talking of laughter, is that all fun and games, or is it stressful to be in business together?
So, yeah, actually, it's really stressful, but not because we're in business together. So, so Paula, who was the brains of the business, this is her brainchild. She passed away at the beginning of COVID. It was unrelated to COVID. It was a rare neurological disorder called Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, and it was very sudden. Within a matter of weeks, she was gone. And COVID provided, I think, a little bit of a buffer for us to assess what we wanted to do with the business. We have 2 children, adult, semi-adult children, and they're in their 20s. And so we talked about collectively as a family what we wanted to do with her business, and we decided that we wanted to continue it on because she had left a shelf, a good 4 feet of sketchbooks with ideas and little jokes and lists of things. And so we wanted to continue doing that sort of in her honor to maintain her legacy. So when Paula was alive, at first she started with the whole business was herself, and she had friends who were helping her going to shows. And then I started to help her with, I used to joke that she was the president of the company, but I was the vice president in charge of packaging, shipping, and figuring out ways to get things out the door. Sort of the muscle, and I loaded the car. Since it's now me basically running the company, it's tough as I balance my full-time job and also continue to try and grow the company, which we are continuing to grow as we're adding more products in. Sort of between that, balancing all of that out. So it can be a challenge from time to time. But I have to say that I have a blast doing it. Paula used to come back from her fiber shows at the beginning of the company's life, and she said, I love doing this. I love the people that I interact with. They're my kind of people. It's a different kind of community that is incredibly supportive, and it's heartwarming. And she was really looking forward to being able to retire from her full-time job and to be able to do that full-time and to be able to hang out with the fiber community. So I'm continuing in that direction.
Are you surprised by the fiber community, like by their welcome to you? And
yeah, actually, through Paula, I met a lot of really wonderful people who are still dear friends, and I've also met going to fiber shows a lot of other people as well who Paula did not know. I have to say, the people within the community, from the vendors who I work with at these shows to the people who come through, are just genuine, and saying that they're relaxed might be a little stretch, but there's something about being around the creative arts, and in this case it's fiber, that gives people a sense of energy and excitement. And it's always that you're surrounded by yarn and batting, and there's all of this incredible sense of potential. So I think you can't really go to a fiber show, something like that, and not be excited about the possibilities of what you can do. Plus, it's just fun hanging out with people. So
I wonder, it's a little bit the chicken or an egg, right? Like, because I wonder how much of it, the energy that people bring to you versus how much of it you giving to people. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I always considered myself to be an incredibly shy person, but going to fiber shows, you cannot be shy. You have to be right out there. You've got to talk with the people who are coming through your booth, get to know the vendors. And so it's changed me a lot as a person. And even though I don't knit, I am learning. But even though I don't knit, I walk around the venues and I'm just blown away by the level of creativity and the beautiful colors. Paula was an artist, obviously, and so she used to come back into the booth, and her endorphins were just going off because of all of these vibrant colors and all of these ideas of things that she could do. So it's I really like it. I have a great time. I look forward, as difficult as sometimes these things are to put together, often by myself, I really look forward to every single show that we do. It's a lot of fun. Let's talk a little bit about the difference in show, like trade show like H&H versus retail yarn festival shows. How is it different for you? Like starting from setup and preparing for the show, and also like the energy that you get back and the feedback that you get back and all of that.
Trade shows are a whole different ball game than just a regular show that you're vending at. when it comes to a trade show, the people you are talking with are people who own stores. And so they want or they need to be motivated or excited by what you're doing to then be able to carry your product in their store. And since we're not, we are the only one in doing what we do, we sort of fill our own niche. And the person who owns the store needs to decide whether or not they need that niche to be filled in their store. And I know a number of our retailers just absolutely love having our products in their store because, it's something that is in addition to what people normally come in and purchase. And if they're looking for gifts or they're looking for something that, I need to have this swag. I'm going to a wine tasting and I want to take my Nipa Pearl wine glass with me, or something like that. So there it's still lighthearted. It's still full of laughter. But then you're also talking about how well do the wine glasses sell versus the beer glasses versus the tags and so on. So it's much more looking at sort of the nitty gritty of how these do with the average customer. Now at a trade show, or excuse me, not a trade show, at a fiber festival, it's great because people are there to have fun. They're there to laugh. They're there to see what's new. They come into the booth. We've been doing, for instance, the Wisconsin Sheep and Wool Festival now, I guess, for 7 or 8 years. And every time we have people come in, what's new? I want to buy what's new. So they're always looking for that new creative item that we have that's coming out. And they're looking for, with our t-shirts, they're looking for shirts for the next year because they know they're going to love and use those shirts as much as they can, and then they're going to come back and they're going to replace them with a new shirt, or they need a project bag or something like that. Or I picked up tags and I used them all at Christmas. I know I need to come back and I need to get more. So they're always looking for a specific item. And there's also the social aspect of it as well. A lot of people knew Paula, had known me sort of on the periphery, but now we have a really good relationship together as well. So, you have the people who are new, the new faces who are excited. Why didn't I know about Nipa Pearl before? To those people who I've seen for years and years and years and have become really close friends. So,
does it make it more difficult for you, the fact that people knew Paula and they come to love her, to step into those shoes, or does it make it more comforting for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would say it's probably a little bit of both, because, Paula set the bar really high when it came to her images and her products. And what used to come from Paula's head independently, through conversations and joking around, now takes a team of people to do, because I have artists and graphic designers that help me. I come up with the ideas, or we come across sketches that Paula has done or things that we had talked about in the past, and I say, okay, we need to do this. And so we'll get some preliminary sketches, and we end up getting things done by committee as opposed to Paula and I just kind of bantering about it. So it's hard in that we have to make sure that we live up to the standards that Paula set and the standards that everybody expects. But I think at the same time, it's easy because those people who know Paula and have known the company for a while are always thrilled to see us and always happy to see that we're back and that we're continuing things on. And then those people who don't know us, who come into the booth and just start reading the sayings on the cards and laughing about things and looking at the bags and the t-shirts and just laughing. And that gives you it makes me really happy to hear laughter in the booth. So it's a lot of fun to do that. I think that's the easiest part. The harder part is to make sure every year as we're doing things that we do things in the way that Paula would have done them. and I know what she would have wanted. We just have to make sure that we get there every single time.
Well, when you mentioned that your company is unique when it comes to like trade show because you were like the only one selling all these accessories. There, majority of people at the trade show are selling needles or yarn, like basic things, even bags. But like you sell all these accessories that like was uniquely your company. There was nobody else doing the same thing. Are you concerned that people might want to get into your kind of business, and are you worried about competition?
Perhaps I'm a little concerned about competition, but you know, a lot of people do yarn, and people still make livings selling yarn. A lot of companies do that. If it's done well, then they will continue to have an audience for that. We were the first and so far the only people that I'm aware of that are sort of doing this on a larger scale, on a national scale. So, you know, people do cards and people do art that is fiber related. And I think what sets us apart from something that somebody else might do is the uniqueness of our illustrations. There's a simplicity. I hate to use the word cute, but there's a cuteness to it. There's something that is distinctly KnitBaahPurl that we have. That doesn't mean that other people don't do other things incredibly well, but we have the images that we have the style that we have, and I think that is something that is, you know, very unique to us. I would not welcome competition, obviously, but you know, it's and you know, the company's been around now for, well, this was the 14th year. And so we are still doing what we do, and we're still pretty much the only ones doing what we're doing. So I think maybe what we're doing correctly, and that it's not necessarily as easy to replicate as it might appear to be. So.
I mean, and I think there's like this almost naivety kind of to those images, because you look at it and it's just like, as I said, like you can't help but smile at that, because it's witty, but it's almost like childlike kind of wittiness, you know? Yeah. And I find that the more I go to yarn stores nowadays, the more I understand how there is like definitely a market for your kind of product, because a lot of people who are not crafters can come to the yarn store and laugh at the cup, or like find some cute card for a friend who is a fiber artist, and this is like their gateway into the fiber arts.
Yeah. I like that word, gateway.
I mean, listen, you're learning how to knit. Like, would you ever think getting into this business that you're gonna become a knitter, you know? So it's like, for a lot of people, they just come to find a gift for a friend, perhaps. Yeah. And they think, well, maybe I should try it, like, you know? Yeah. So I definitely see more and more products like cups and mugs and bags, accessories, like funny accessories, that's very popular in the yarn stores. Did you feel this year at H&H it was different from last year?
Well, in terms of the size, it was a lot larger than it was last year. And I heard, we didn't do it the first year, but I heard the second year was larger than the first year, which was really good. You know, I think in terms of people offering products that are similar to ours, definitely the bags. There are a lot of people who make just absolutely gorgeous, beautiful bags, and there will always be people doing that. Ours are distinguished because we have the Nipa Pearl artwork on it, and it's the artwork I think that's the attraction right there. It's interesting. We did TNNA for a few years before COVID, and H&H, while it's been incredible, I think the economy, the market, the maybe the caution of the retailers is definitely the show is definitely different than TNNA. TNNA was, I think, very much like the Wild West in that everybody was coming in and they were excited about things, and we always had a really good time. And now everybody, I think, is doing things in a very careful, very methodical, very thought out way. So they need to think, do I need to carry mugs? Do I need to carry wine glasses? Do I need to have those sorts of things? And at least for us, hopefully they'll start saying yes. Because we like to think, we've got that niche product for them. So yeah, it's different. It's very different. So,
how did you learn about how to market the company?
Oh boy. Well, I laugh because I actually just spoke with somebody last week about I need help with marketing the company. Paula's the one, as she started it, her idea was to start with the fiber shows, to sell directly to the customers. She was featured in a number of magazines. People were featuring her mugs or the wine glasses or the bags, whatever. And so it was very organic. I think she really didn't. She had a business plan. Even as she started the business, she drew up a business plan. She did it the right way. And I think she sort of learned how to do it over time. A lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is somebody comes home from a fiber show and shows their local yarn store, look at what I got. You've got to carry this. And then we have that contact. I would like to grow the company beyond what it is right now, for it to be more than what it is, larger than what it is, I think would be kind of fun. And I think, that's why I approached this person about, marketing, at least making sure that the relationships that I have with my retailers, I maintain in a smart and efficient way, as opposed to okay, I've got time to do this, so let me send an email out. So it's been definitely a steep learning curve. But I'm now that it's me, odd to say that, but now that it's me running the show, I definitely know that I'm going to need to have extra eyes and ears and help thinking about different ways of moving forward.
Is it difficult for you to relinquish this control? Like right now, you are the guy who runs the show, and yet you have to have help of graphic designers and artists and now perhaps marketing help. And
so I would say, so it's interesting, that question, because most of the artistic decisions and whatnot were made by Paula originally. So I was able to give input. Now I'm sort of the person who says, yes, we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to get this into production. We're going to go ahead and go with that image. So I don't, I'm always the person who says, this is okay, we're going to do it this way. But I have to, always consider everybody's opinions. I have a large number of Paula's close friends who have their opinions about, you need to do this, don't do that. So these are all ideas and opinions that I take into consideration as we're doing things. Relinquishing some sort of control over marketing, I would say that as being provided with guidance on how to do marketing, because I'm not sure that that there is a huge amount to relinquish control over when it comes to marketing, because it's still an organic process. We go TNNA, we were at twice. H&H, we were at twice. Those are the two biggest forms of marketing that we do, at least to our retailers. We have a pretty decent social media presence when it comes to the people who follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I do those myself. I update those things myself. If I had help doing them, that would be fantastic, because I'd be able to do something else as well. I'm certainly happy to share with all of those sorts of things. I don't think that there's anything that would happen where I didn't at least say, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. That's a really great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So if it came to that, then I wouldn't be the head of the company. So.
Well, you mentioned Paula having a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
What's your business plan looks like for the future?
That's a really good question. And in fact, when we were at H&H, so I had two friends that I've known since I was in my mid-teens, and they were Paula's two closest friends. They live in Canada, so they came and they helped with the show. And we were talking about, even before the show started, they asked me the question, well, what do you want to do with the business? And, for a long time I thought, well, I know exactly what I want to do with the business. I want to continue to grow it, and I want to continue bringing all of those things in and that Paula had started, and continue doing what she had done. But it's made me think now that maybe I need to have my own vision of where the company needs to go. And so while I don't necessarily have a clear vision yet, that's something that I think now that I have that question in my head, in conversation with my friends who I consider to be my advisors, that's something that I will definitely be working on to formulate for the future. I know I would like to do some of the things that we talked about at H&H was crossover marketing with some of the other companies that were there, featuring our bags or some of our products and whatnot, which I think partnerships are always really beneficial to both groups. We want to have new products coming in. Like I said, we have the knitting needle bag, and we have the over-the-shoulder bag as well. So to bring in new products, new ideas that way. Whether we decide that we're going to go ahead and do more in publications, I don't know yet. We actually we created a publishing house that is sort of an offshoot of Nipa Pearl, because Paula had designed the Fiberknotes, which is a design book, but she also wrote a children's book. So whether we decide that we're going to go ahead and build that side of things, I don't know yet. That would be maybe a little bit too much for me to run in my head at the same time as trying to get everything else done. So where am I going? Forward. Continuing to do what we're doing, having fun doing it. I want to build the brand. I want to build what Nipa Pearl is. I'd love to build its visibility. Within the fiber community, there is a core of people who know and love absolutely everything that Nipa Pearl does. I'd like to grow that. I would like more people. I'd like it to become, oh, you've got this from Nipa Pearl. Well, I've got that. Have you seen their new wine glass? Have you seen those sorts of things? To become as recognizable as any of the large yarn manufacturers, for us to be an integral part of what goes on in the fiber industry.
Have you ever considered doing some sort of collectibles?
Yes, actually. Paula and I discussed that. And it started with, we were thinking about doing limited edition holiday mugs as part of that. And that we were starting to talk about that at the beginning. It was in 2019, and by 2020, Paula was gone, and that idea is at a standstill. We've had we have yes have had individual things like little buttons that we've had for trade shows that we've given away, sort of as one time. That's what we're going to go ahead and do and have that as a collectible. But that would I should probably write that down. That would be actually a really interesting thing to think about and to pursue, to have a collectible.
I think
I'm
so.
not sure what it would be, but that would be kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to write that down.
Perhaps some collectible stitch markers or something that's easy to have a lot of different ones.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really interesting thing. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm gonna have to talk to my team.
let's talk about how much you're thinking about the company, because I noticed when I first started knitting, it was sort of like, okay, let me try this project or let me try that project. And at this point of my life, it's probably the first thing that enters my mind in the morning and the last thing that leaves my mind at night, and sometimes it stays with me overnight.
Yes.
How much do you think about the company and where you're going with this company? Is that like every waking minute of your life, kind of?
I would say it's the vast majority of my waking and awake in the middle of the night, as you were saying. I always wake up and for an hour I'm thinking about different things that we need to do with the business. H&H, of course, is compounding that because, okay, I've got all of these orders that I got out the door. This is the process that I need to do it. I have a full-time job. So I'm an academic. I teach music at a private liberal arts institution here in town. So that consumes my mind when I'm there working with students and teaching. I love my job. I love the students. But when I'm not there, then I come home or something else, and then I start thinking a lot about what's happening with Nipa Pearl, because I want to try and grow the company. I want to try and start increasing the visibility and bring new products in. So I would say that the business consumes all of the free space it possibly can. I can't be thinking about it when I'm teaching, but I can definitely be thinking about it when I'm not, on my drive home, when I'm at home. Very often I will work a full day and then I'll come home and I'll work on the business for 4 or 5 hours, working on either new designs or getting orders out the door or those sorts of things. I have people who help me. We get together and we do large, put together stitch markers. My fingers are too big to do that easily. So, packaging wine glasses and making mugs and all of those things. So I have people who help me do all of those things, but there's a certain amount of every day I've got to do the books. I need to, work on social media. I've got to do all of those things. So all of the free time that is not taken up on my regular job is taken up by Nipa Pearl. It's fun. I have a good time doing it. It's sometimes overwhelming because there is so much to think about. As a musician, I also do a lot of performing. So I like to say that I wear 3 different hats. I've got my teaching, my performing, and then I've got Nipa Pearl. Fortunately, because I'm an academic, I have a little bit of wiggle room in the summer, where I'm not as busy with teaching, that I can go ahead and I can do the trade shows. So I'm able to balance things off. Paula, who was also an academic, she was an ethnomusicologist, had wanted at this point to be retired and doing the business full time. That's something that I think would be a lot of fun.
So you see it in your future as well, to retire?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Obviously there's a financial component to all of this. I think we'd all like to retire early and get it to work. But I think I would. Well, Paul and I always talked about the fact that we'd like to retire and do this together until whenever we decided not to do it, and then spend the rest of the time traveling, or travel in between shows and to get out and see the world a little bit. And maybe expand things to Canada, because we have strong roots in Canada, and maybe see if Europe would be interested, because we have family in Europe as well.
And the little lamb was there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. See if we can find that lamb. We don't know where it is. Paula did actually go looking for it, but we don't know where the case went. So.
When you teach music, do you have a Nipa Pearl mug on your desk somewhere?
So, yes. So one of the things that Paula very intentionally did early on with the company is that she said that she wanted to keep the two things completely separate. So we have our work computers, and then we have our business computers, and our business does not exist on our work computers at all. So there's definitely a separation. But students can be very nosy, and Paula was always wearing her Nipa Pearl shirt. So she had a policy with her students that said, you can't buy anything from Nipa Pearl until you graduate. So the people who come and work for me are my students, because it's fun to have them around, and they're hard workers. They have little nimble fingers who do really well because they're all younger. So, they're very, very helpful. But I do try and have that separation of the two. Yes, I do have a Nipa Pearl mug. Yes, I do have a Nipa Pearl bag that I carry things in. Sometimes I will wear Nipa Pearl t-shirts. But I try and keep a little bit of separation between the two. The students know all about it, and they know everything that is Nipa Pearl, but I try not to flaunt it that much.
I can see some giveaways to particularly students.
Yeah.
That's one way to organically market the company.
Well, that's true. That's true. Although I think our administration might frown on the fact that I was marketing to our to the students directly. So
I'm so glad we got to meet at H&H, and I got to see new merchandise. And I truly wish you all the success with your company.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you for stopping by. And thank you to whoever it was that was with you, because I took your card and I said, oh, you being a shy person, I said, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that. And she came to me and she said, you need to talk to Irina. You need to do this, because she's really great. She has lots of followers, and she's just a wonderful person to know. And so I have your card, and I wrote down on it. I said, you must do this. So when I came back from H&H, you were one of the first people that I contacted. So I'm really happy that you came into the booth, that you introduced yourself. It is a pleasure to get to know you. And I look forward to seeing you at H&H in the future, and around at other fiber fairs, wherever our paths may cross.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you. It was lovely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Eric Wachmann. I am the owner of Nipa Pearl with Barbara McCoy.
Hello.
A lifelong friend, and we like to say that we are everything else you need for your fiber lifestyle.
I love that. That's my favorite booth. I always come here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.